Here's a massive mistake that most companies make, and they can avoid it if they'll just do one thing. This is the mistake. It's taken you time and money to identify and hire a new person. And you think once they've agreed to come on board that your job is over, and it's only just beginning. The biggest mistake that you can make is to wipe your brow, say phew, and move on to something else. I've seen it many times in companies. Someone new comes on board with high expectations, and instead of getting right on board with the organization and moving forward and starting to make a contribution, they go into what I call the desert. The desert where there's no resources for them to begin to understand their role, understand the culture of the organization, and make an impact. And you want to avoid your new hires going through the desert. So how do you do that? Well, it all begins on day one. Think about this. Even before they've walked in the door, their computers are ready to go. Their mobile devices are all programmed and ready to go. Any safety equipment that they need is ready to go. They are ready to get started right at the beginning and hit the ground running. You assign them a mentor from day one, and they meet that person on day one. The person who's going to work with them over the next 30, 60, 90 days to make sure that they get settled and that they get acclimatized in your organization. And then you think about week one. You must have structured job training right from the start, where they begin to understand exactly what their role and responsibility is and begin to get trained so that they can make that contribution. Let me give you an example. You hire a PM, let's say, and you have a new job that you want them to start looking at. And maybe you don't put them on that job by themselves, but with another seasoned PM. But you get them side by side with that PM, making sure that they understand how you guys build work, how you interact with your clients, how you communicate with the field. Then you've got the measurable goals for week one. And really at the end of week one, your expectation should be that they are ready for week 2 through 4 for independent work, handling real world tasks. So make sure that they're having a 15-minute check-in every day of week 1 with their manager that they report to, making sure that they are ready at the end of week 1. They understand their role and they're going to make that contribution. Then you go week 2 through 4. And this is, again, the transition to independent work, handling real-world tasks, team collaboration, and you're then going to check in with them weekly, 30 to 60 minutes, making sure that they're on track. And then you get to 1 month, month 1, and you want to make sure that they're fully integrated with the team, working on projects, contributing to culture, and that's where you want to check in with them. What's the best thing that's happened to you in the first 30 days? What's the worst thing? What are you unclear about? Are you comfortable with your role and responsibility? Are you able to make the contribution that you're getting paid to make? Now, none of this is easy. It requires a lot of energy and a lot of work, and that's exactly why you have to avoid that pitfall of thinking that your job is done when you've hired them. It has only just begun, and you want to avoid that desert. So let me give you a tool that you can use and you can download by clicking the link in the description or in the comments of this video so that you can get it and use it. It's called the 90-Day High Performance Dashboard. The first thing you want to do in that first week, by the end of the week, is sit down with them and identify the rally cry. What is the one thing they need to accomplish in the first 90 days? Maybe it is a tough technical job that you're bringing them on for, and you want to make sure they've got their hands around that and they're really executing at a high level. After you identify the rally cry, make sure they have 3 initiatives, a 30-day initiative, a 90-day initiative, and maybe a 12-month initiative that they're going to work on that's going to make sure, let me put it to you this way, those initiatives and the execution of them are going to be the very things that justify their paycheck and make them indispensable to your organization. Then you get some metrics that are related to those initiatives that you can track and discuss on a regular basis in your one-to-ones, so that everyone is clear on what is expected and how performance is going, so that you can also identify any dips in performance that need to be addressed. Then identify those key relationships that they need to develop and to cultivate both internally and externally to your organization so that they can be successful. And then finally, development opportunities. Perhaps they do come into your organization and they need to learn the particular cultural ways or the ways that you process information, the way you process change orders, the way you do your billing, whatever the case is. You want to make sure that they have those development opportunities clearly outlined so that they are very clear on exactly what they need to do to be successful. Okay, so again, you want to avoid that 30-day desert. You don't want to think that your job is done just because you've hired a good candidate. You want to make sure their first 90 days are killer so that they are making the contribution to the organization that you want them to make. So this is what you do. Go to the description of this video. You'll be able to find a link to download that 90-day dashboard. Then sit down with them again at the end of their first week. Spend 30 to 60 minutes walking through the dashboard with them, agreeing together on what's most important, what they're going to focus on, and then hold them accountable as they get going in your organization. If you can nail the first 90 days, I promise you it's going to make them much, much more successful. And here's another final benefit of nailing the first 90 days. What if they're not a fit? Well, you want to find out in the first 90 days. You don't want them to be 6 months in and realize, man, I should never have hired this person. It's okay if you make a hiring mistake. We're human and it happens all the time. So don't worry about that. Instead, do the hard work in the first 90 days. And if they're not a fit, then you can shake hands and part friends and move on. Hope you found this helpful. Appreciate you listening.